Okay. Hi.
Hi, Nancy Jean. How's
Hi.
everyone?
No, it's going okay. It's actually raining right now here, which is always exciting. And
Blessing there. Holy cow.
it hasn't been it barely made it to 90 today. So I think the baking of the state is, at least in my parts, kind of over for a while.
Well, let's hope so. It's still a little humid here. Hey,
Well, it makes it very humid here, but I take that over studying. I mean, my front door gets so hot I have to put something on my hand to pull the handle.
hmm
Not good.
yeah, it's been humid, a little warm. It's been up and down a little bit. Mornings are chilly, but then it gets hot like that.
Yeah, I remember I grew up there. I know.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone was confused or whatnot. It was scheduled for 5, but I didn't get done with work till really late, so I changed it to 5:30 if anyone was confused. So apologize if that was the issue there.
Well, I didn't know that, so I saw a bunch of people in the room and I couldn't get on. So I emailed Dozen Cats, and she was nice enough to let everybody know we were coming. We hadn't forgotten them.
Thanks. So mainly this show, we were just going to show off our stuff a little bit, and if we have
Mhm.
time, toss some cards on some questions, whatever.
Right.
We both do personal readings. You do I got your annual reading. You do.
Yes, you got a
Yeah.
12-month reading.
Yep. You do 12-month readings. Um, you
And
have
I
your.
start
You can
Yeah, I'll
explain.
start doing
You
the
can
12-month
explain your
reading.
stuff.
In December, I'll start doing 12-month readings again, and that'll be January to next December in 23. Um, in the middle of the year, in June, I have a month where I do 6-month readings. So you have July to December if someone, is curious.
Sure.
Um, Sorry, I kind of look disembodied here. Very weird. It's in my garden. Um, and I do traditional readings. I do tr- basic tarot readings. I do past life readings, and I talk about crystals. And I sell eggs. I sell gardens, um, and I sell grids, and all of which are ways for people to connect to crystals, because in this egg is a malachite. It's the heart chakra, and it's a malachite and a blue lace agate. And in my throat chakra, which I'm not going to dash across the room and get, but it's a triangle form in the middle, and it's lapis lazuli. And there you get a wand, and I tell you how to set an allowance into that, and you tie your energy up to the crystals. I was a tarot reader from the age of 12 until 69. And then I ran into crystals in Colorado and started messing around with crystals a little bit. Built my first crystal grid in February of 2019, and started a little side business of building people crystal grids. And then I started studying sacred geometry. And I really found that a lot of the training I'd had about how to help people connect to the energies and to work in the world was very much helped by crystals. And so I have a whole bunch of crystals to talk about. I invented the crystal, the garden, and I didn't invent it. I actually channeled it in. It was very weird. When people used to say, "Oh, I brought it in from the ether," and I'd go, "Oh, really?" Well, I brought it in from the ether. So if you're all going, "Oh, really?" I understand. But you throw the 5 stones in. There's 5 stones for a reason. Five is the number of change. It's freedom or chaos, all kinds of change.
That's a good point.
And right, and each one of the stones has a meaning. Fusite, this one I've got in my hand, is the fairy stone, and it's very grounded to the earth elements. So that's your body. Uh, Yellow orange calcite is your mind. Amethyst, what else? Is your spirit.
Yep.
And then pyrite, which is values. Pyrite, this feels as heavy as gold. That's why it's called fool's gold. It looks like gold, but it's not. But it has to do with values and getting grounded. And then sodalite, thank you. Sodalite is, when you see it, you'll probably always see it tumbled because it's a beautiful blue stone. I use rough stones on the gardens because if I was throwing tumbled stones, I'd be chasing them all over the room. So yeah, I use those 5 stones. I toss them in, and we decide, and then I channeled in through my guides, and that was a lot of fun. Let me tell you, that was a fun 6 weeks of having dreams every night of what all these spaces and all these stones meant. And so I've been reading it for a little over a year. I have a garden group that's attached to my YouTube channel at Nancy Jean's Garden. And like this Saturday, we're having the third in a set of classes where they've all fixed up their places so they can have their gardens, so I can see theirs and they can see mine. And we throw things together, and I'm teaching. They're teaching me more about reading because it's really an individual thing, but it really, really does work. And so that's the garden, and the other garden that I have, but it's not mine. I did not invent this. This was invented by Alma. And this is the one, if you saw the show I did last week with Danny, and it's also on his channel, on Danny Shea's channel. I'm going to get my heart egg out of here because it makes a big lump. It's a past life garden. And you can read about, if you want some quick things, it comes with a pendulum and 4 stones. You notice we always end up with things having 5s because that's change. It comes with a gorgeous tiger's eye pendulum, and then the 4 stones that she and I worked on. What she did is she watched a bunch of shows I did on past lives and came up with these words. These are the words that always seem to come up. There's amber and petrified wood. Amber's really tiny and it's really light because it's pine sap that's been fossilized. And then there's petrified wood, and she got this gorgeous run of petrified wood that's old redwood that petrified, and it's gorgeous. It's dark red. And then so this is for connection to your past lives. And then we have a quartz crystal we throw in for clarity, for a place you need to get clear from. And then citrine, which is your values or your new beginnings. And that's another thing that if you watch my channel, I play with. So that's me and crystals. So, and if you want to know how to find Alma's Garden, you can just contact me and I'll tell you, because she's in Florida, not here, and I do not sell her stuff. She's really great though. And if you want to see my grids, you can go to crystaldirections.com, which is my website, and that's the one I made for Scott.
Yes. I think I mentioned it before, but you have a little guide you put in there.
Right, and that tells you what each of the stones is and why you have it connected to you.
Yeah, like the vein calcite, you said, it's emotional release and grounding, cleansing and purification. The shungite, grounding, detoxification, and protection. And each one of them, you say, have a different meaning.
Right.
And you tap them all. I noticed after we tapped them all, some reason I needed to do mine counterclockwise, and then it activated.
Yeah.
But
everybody has their own energy, Scott.
Obviously. Because I was like, this thing ain't working. So then I tried something like, wait a minute, maybe I should do it backwards. And I tapped them all backwards, and then I felt a little jolt. I'm like, okay, now it's working. To put my meaning to it, whatever. But every once in a while, I just kind of put my hand over it and throw my energy around it counterclockwise. It's those. But doesn't the planet move counterclockwise, rotate? There's something about counterclockwise.
The nodes do.
Something moves counterclockwise, but anyway.
The nodes move the opposite direction in the zodiac from where the planets move. Yeah.
And then, so I just ordered your heart chakra egg too. I want to get that energy.
Yes. Good.
That energy. So that's cool. Like the stones I usually carry around. I have my huge calcite back here. I'm attached more to these geodes. I love having these around.
Geodes are great fun, and if you want to know where you can buy a geode like this, if there's ever a crystal show in your area, they show up and they're like all together. And you can walk around and you go up and you can rattle them and you can hold them and you can figure it out. And when you buy the stone uncut, and then they cut the stone, I mean, they break the stone for you, and it generally goes along fingers, and you get what you get, and they're just gorgeous. But my favorite geode is this one, and it's teeny tiny, but that's my granny geode. For my birthday one year, I went to Austin and I took an unbroken geode and I broke it with my 2 grandchildren, and it split into 3 parts. So this is my part, and each of them has a part of the geode from Granny's geodes.
Neat. A lovely subscriber, Butterfly Kisses, sent me this one. She said
that's an agate. Is that agate? That's an agate with the colors in it.
She said it was screaming my name, so she sent it to him. Like, oh, that was sweet.
Yep.
Keep that near me.
Mm-hmm.
Like these decorative rocks, like Holly's saying, oh, I always look at rocks when I'm walking. So like, like the decorative rocks and like medians and stuff, I always look at them too. And I found all these little ones, and they got little crystals all inside of them.
Right.
So I collected any of those that have these crystals in them. Just keep a bunch of extra ones in a little bowl all together.
Yeah. Crystals
do you feel any different at your house with all that crystal around you, making grids and?
Yeah, I do. The energy of working with grids and working with the crystals is different than readings. So the day that I sit down and I build a couple crystal grids, I won't do any readings, because if I do readings, it takes me 3 times longer to put the grids together. And crystals are addictive. And there's lots of fun things. And crystals can look totally different. Like Scott has a big piece of selenite behind him. This is also a piece of selenite. Look at how different they look. It all depends on how they were formed.
Yeah, this is a natural selenite from some guy mines it out of Arkansas, I think.
Yeah, Arkansas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma has a lot of selenite. And
I think it's Oklahoma, actually.
Oklahoma has these, and they're called desert roses, and it actually carves the selenite out and makes it look like a rose. It's really cool.
What I find fascinating about this, it's almost like a tree, because you can see the years how it was made. It's all layered, and then yet to be transparent. So fascinating. But my ultimate favorite is my rose quartz. I mean, I can hold this thing, and it's like I go to another dimension. It almost feels like.
Okay, I have to reach for my rose quartz because it's kind of hidden behind me. These are sections of geodes. This is a smoky quartz one, but I'm grabbing for the big guy. And she is not light. I don't know if it's a he or she, but that's rose quartz. And rose quartz, because the iron that colors it, rose quartz is not very often found in points. It's usually found pooled, because by blending with the quartz, it actually changes how the crystals come together. So you won't get a lovely point like this clear quartz in rose quartz. There's a couple places in the world where they do have it, but not very many. What you got, Scott?
Oh, well, I had this made for me in Nepal.
Oh yeah, that's gorgeous.
It's got all kinds of crystals inside it. It's a crystal sphere. All different kinds, but you can see all the crystals in it, and this thing's like 5 pounds, 8 pounds. It's heavy.
Oh, they're. You put a rock in that kind of form, and it's going to be heavy. This is a stone I find fascinating. It's called a chrysanthemum stone, and that's not painted on the surface. That's through the stone. The white mineral breaks through, and if you were to shave this, you'd see that flower all the way through it. The other thing that makes it, they're called writing stones, and they're black with the white lines, and they do the same things. Those are fun, and they're just a happy stone. I've never run into one that wasn't a happy stone, that didn't make you feel better.
Excellent, Mimi. Going. See, I got a little spiritual shop in town where I got most of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a friend that, well, he's actually in Australia now, but I had a friend get me some of this stuff from Nepal. All my little trinkets I got are all from Nepal, like my bell and that
Mm-hmm.
sphere,
Mm-hmm.
my little matria here, the Buddha
Mm-hmm.
matria.
Yeah.
So he got me a whole bunch of stuff, and I gave him a little extra money because they weren't doing anything in lockdown.
Yeah.
He used to have he used to run a gaming store.
Oh, okay.
Most Nepalians couldn't afford a $600 PS4 or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
so he managed a store that had all the setups and games.
Mm-hmm.
And with lockdown, everything closed down except for, and they were on lockdown for like 2 years.
They were hardcore. Yeah, because they didn't have vaccines or anything to help them. And most people know about tourmaline grounding them, but tourmaline also comes in this color pink.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I have, or it can be called watermelon tourmaline. This is watermelon because if out on the outer edge, it's got some green. Tourmaline can do some really interesting things color wise. And this is a polished version of the stones that are inside my heart chakra, the malachite. And
Neat.
the green in that is copper. So one of the things for those of you who have grandchildren or small people with big mouths that pick up shiny things and stick them in it, make sure you know what you're doing with your crystals, because this crystal's called a vandonite, and it's just gorgeous and it's shiny and it's silvery, but it's crystal attributes. It's very cooling, but it sometimes contains arsenic or radioactive particles. Now, this one was checked. I think it's got arsenic in it, but I'm
Wow.
not sucking on it, so I'm okay. Um,
Thank you, Rosie. Love, light, and
they,
peace to everyone.
mm-hmm. And
What,
let's
what would your senses be with this? Why are so many people drawn to rocks and stones? And
right now, because the earth is calling back to us and getting us aligned with it. You know, the energy's coming back and it's saying we're here. It's the same thing as the ley lines, which, you know, I've been exploring, and someday poor old Johan's going to end up back on my channel, but it ain't happening tomorrow.
one of
But
these days, maybe I can figure out something too. I
yeah,
haven't found it. I was hoping to find a ley line and sense it when I went to Holy Hill there, but I only sensed one area had energy.
if you can get me the you know the longitude and latitude of Holy Hill, I'll give
Yeah.
it to him, because he has a way of connecting and seeing places that are around it. He sent me some things for a friend of mine who wanted to go looking for him around the hills where she lives in California, and she said the place he sent her to worked.
Oh wow.
So you
Neato.
know she had to get longitude and latitude on her phone,
I
but
know it's hard to see, but do you know what this is?
um, it looks like spectralite. It's got all those little shiny points in it.
Yeah, it's got all these little sparklies in it, but
Yeah.
it's really,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's shaven smooth or whatever, but oh, I was drawn to this thing. It fits in your hand really nice, but
Yeah, it's a palm stone.
palm stone. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but I like. Well, that's pretty cool. I'm getting it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what, you know, it's not important. Trust me, I was watching some crystal shows today just because I was really not feeling terribly well, so I was trying to rest for the afternoon. And there's a couple shows that have unboxings of crystals, and they talk about all of the chemical properties and all that stuff, and I'm like, they also talk about the stuff we do, and they go, we don't know anything about how this clears your third eye, but you know, they say it does.
But yeah, I mean, all stones have energy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you like if you put it out in the sun or whatever, it'll just soak that right up.
Yeah, don't put your dark stones in the sun. Don't put your amethyst or your rose quartz. Don't put that out in the sun. It will fade them.
Sure. But I mean, just holding my quartz, I just feel so much
Hmm.
better. You know, like the energy it's taking from me, or I can connect
Hmm.
better with it. It's like it's part of the earth. You know, it's kind of like going
It
out in the north.
grounds you. When I used to have my table where I read cards at my table, I had this, which is labradorite, and it's got all kinds of rainbows and colors. I have crappy cameras for showing this up, but they're really good. And if somebody was like, I could tell their energy was way out of their head, I'd say, hold on to this stone. And it like goes and it pulls your energy back into your body. Makes it much easier for them to read. Now, if somebody was really grounded and really, really grumpy, I'd have him hold this, which is when I first got this wand, it was almost completely clear. Every time we have a major planet thing happen, more inclusions show up, and now it's full of rainbows and stuff. It's really pretty when you can see it in real life. But on my table, I just tell people to hold it, and they'd be released from feeling so heavy.
Have you know, in your research of ley lines and whatnot, have any crossed in Pennsylvania anywhere?
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
Well, I know they're
They're
everywhere, but like a major place, you know.
I don't Holy Hill, where you went to, is very different. It's been um, a point of religious veneration from the indigenous people, and then the Catholics just came and said, "This looks like a good place. We're taking it over." I mean, sort of like what Catholic churches do. Um, that's what they did all over Europe too. That's why all of their things are connected by ley lines. But
Right. I mean,
I don't.
I sensed when I was there and I meditated, I sensed it changed the energy of the place when they put that stuff there,
Hmm.
you know, from its original intent.
Yeah, but it still runs right up through there.
Yeah. You know, like if there's an ancient place or uh, when I was trying to figure out where the ley line kind of went through Holy Hill, I was getting this ancient church in Greenland it connects to.
Yes,
And
there's a
then there's
place that does connect to
and
Greenland.
then there's another place near a lake in Ontario, I think. So it kind of goes
Hmm.
through
Across
there
Ontario and over to Greenland. Yeah.
and then Greenland and then up to like Stonehenge. And
Hmm.
it crosses another place in Ireland. So like
Hmm.
it points, you know, with the curvature of the Earth a little bit, but
Hmm.
it points right to all energetic areas that are you know have a history. You
Hmm.
know, like Sedona, that one rock in Australia. What the heck is that? It's like a big red
The
rock.
Uhuru, the one that's in the middle, that used to be called Ayers Rock, but now they've used a native name for it. It's the bright
Right.
red thing that just rises out of the middle of nowhere.
But they're all over, but you know, it's that connective energy that it brings in with these ancient sites.
Yeah, Dr. Gale's at Mount Shasta. She's sitting on the root chakra of the world.
Hmm. Which one they say is the heart? Is that the pyramids? I can't remember
I
offhand.
don't know. I don't remember. It's what I know about ley lines is I just like to let Johann explain the energy of what he's working with. What happened was the ley lines were set down when we were Pangea, when we were one big continent, and then as they split apart, the ley lines got disconnected or needed to be oomphed or needed to be
Right.
reconnected to their parent stars.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, when I was doing the past life reading for Priscilla, I was sensing this. You know where Lake Victoria is
Yes,
in Africa? I feel
it's on a set of lines that go through Africa.
yeah, and there's a volcano there, and to me it
Mm-hmm.
feels like Africa's Mount Shasta.
Mm-hmm.
That place has a huge history.
Yep.
That whole area there. That was pretty neat because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I seeing this place in near a lake? There's a volcano, and it's like middle of South Africa. And I never had a clue, so I googled it and like, oh, Lake Victoria. Okay,
It's the headwaters of the Nile.
so it was pretty neat. Um. So
Yes,
yeah.
you are.
So according to, if my calculation is right, technically the ley line that I was talking about from Holy Hill, and if it would connect to Sedona, it pretty much would go over my house.
Oh, cool.
That goes down. And I found a place in Arkansas City, Kansas, I think. There's an ancient site there, and it crosses right
Mm-hmm.
there. Because I was mapping from like Sedona up the Holy Hill and the
Mm-hmm.
curvature, like, and somebody like, what the heck is Arkansas City? Well, here to come to find out, where I work, the meat is processed there in Arkansas City, Kansas.
Oh.
So I just Googled it, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
there's an ancient church there that's been around there for hundreds
Mm-hmm.
of years. And it's part of the ley line I found out when I Googled and stuff. I'm like, wow, funny stuff.
Somebody, if, for those of you who don't know, ley line is spelled Ley. So if you're going to look it up, look at Ley lines, and it's two words.
So I guess it's my turn.
Okay.
Talk about the car. I have an idea if I ever get enough time.
Mm-hmm.
But my guys would give me an idea for another set of cards. I doubt it would
Mm-hmm.
sell a lot, but it's just a labor of love. But 111 cards dealing with past lives.
Uh-huh.
Put out so many cards for different scenarios of work, places, where you may
Mm-hmm.
have been, different
Right.
planets, possibly, everything. So someday I want to maybe do that when I get the time, but it's kind of in the back of my mind. But anyways, a lot of people have asked, about my cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, can you do a showing or whatever? I use them, but I made them with 52 cards, so they're 52
Mm-hmm.
weeks in the year.
Mm-hmm.
I have 12 major arcana to represent the 12 months of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the 4 seasons in those cards for the 4 suits.
Mm-hmm.
And I have numbers on there for the numbers of months, and those are kind of like used for timing. So you got autumn, winter, fall,
Right. Mm-hmm.
summer. You can kind of maybe try to use them for timing. So then I put words and icons on them to whatever you focus on to use them, if you want to use them.
Mm-hmm.
So since it's 52, and anytime I do a spread, clarify with three or six, but
Mm-hmm.
a full spread with a 52, I would do 9 cards. A full
Mm-hmm.
spread with 78, I do 12.
Mm-hmm.
But the farmer's deck is all about, because I was a farmer. So I put animals in there. I put pictures of me and my siblings. I put pictures of our farm. Some of our animals we've had on the farm I put on in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just I made it for a representation of me, and if people loved them or wanted to have them, they're available. And a lot of the icons and different messages on the cards are from what my guides would give me reading traditional tarot cards.
Right.
Once I learned tarot, right, which took a little bit, maybe 6 months or more, because when I first started on my channel and doing videos myself, I was using a cheat sheet, and it was slow process, but I'd get there, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd rather people use the cheat sheet if they're not really feeling it, so they don't feel like they have to.
Because I never read cards before I started my channel. Pretty much when I did my first video, I was tossing cards. So I was learning on the go.
Yep.
So like when I was doing different readings, I'd get a hit, like let's say, so since I had to bring it down from 78 to 52, I had to combine some cards.
Right.
So like the 9 and 10, instead of the 10 of coins, I combine the 9 and 10. Kind of similar, about money. It's about getting to the ending of financial success, whatever. But I was also getting the hit, well, this also means your DNA, your ancestry.
Okay.
So I added that into there. So you got a DNA strand, ancestry, balance, your ancestors, abundance and financial success, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I combined a few things. So that was, and I did the same thing with the Ten of Swords, the 9 10 of Swords. So
Mm-hmm.
it has anxiety in there. It's also being a lot of issues. I put some
Right.
lightning in there. Here's a
Mm-hmm.
here's a picture of a farm that went through a tornado. So it's
That would be a
sorry.
10 of Swords time.
Yeah. So it's failure, disaster, painful endings, depression, anxiety. I just combined things. So like
Mm-hmm.
the Wheel of Fortune, I combined the Wheel of Fortune and the World.
Mm-hmm.
They're both the same. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
did it in here to combine a few.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like karmic cycles, luck, positive, could
Mm-hmm.
be travel. So I put the world in there to kind of represent that. So I mean, you can use less cards in here, and it can clarify pretty easy with the less cards. I changed a few names, like the magician. I wanted to make it kind of my own. So like the
Mm-hmm.
magician, I changed the name to the creator.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same thing. So that's how I did. I had the farmer's tarot. Like this is these are the tractors at the farm sale we had on our farm.
Right.
So it's like this is part of me, right?
Right.
This deck is part of me. The Six of Cups is pictures of my siblings and I.
Mm-hmm.
The Queen of Coins, these are all the cows, some of the cows we had on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
There you're milking. There's one that was looking at me in the manger when I was feeding them, and
Mm-hmm.
this was the day of our farm sale. All the cows there in the middle of the feed alley.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a lot of my heart and different things I've gotten for different cards into them. So that's my farmer's tarot.
What
So
about
then,
your alien deck? Your
so
alien
then,
deck?
so then
Ah.
I have, so then I have the oracle.
Mm-hmm.
So started delving into the extraterrestrials. It wasn't really by choice. It kind of came to me with all the people asking in personal readings and wanting clarity, or did this happen, or I swear I had I lost all this time. Can you tell me about it and all this stuff? So I started
Mm-hmm.
getting information from the universe about our
Mm-hmm.
extraterrestrials. So that kind of comes in here too with my experience of personal readings and tapping in, and also I purchased some other cards,
Mm-hmm.
thinking they would be good, kind of like star seeds or
Right.
you know uh, other decks that have extraterrestrial meanings on them, and I didn't resonate with any of them. I mean, it's like it's not making sense to me. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
just make it simpler.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about our universe, extraterrestrials, it's everything. It's emotions, it's
Mm-hmm.
crystals, it's energy, it's light work,
Mm-hmm.
it's having your ancestors around, it's
Mm-hmm.
being in other planets. It's everything about the universe with energy, dimensions, family, everything, and also healing.
Mm-hmm.
So like this card, I put the pyramids on it,
Right.
and there's mysteries. I put on mysteries of your soul are within your choices, deja vu, interest, and dreams. So it's like I put this one in there because our past is a mystery, right? We only
Right.
know little things about what happened to all our lives, and but we know through our choices and our intuition.
Mm-hmm.
How we're guided is through our intuition, and
Right.
that's our choices from all our past lives combined. So I use that because it's a mystery, it's like it's a mystery how this got built, right?
Right.
So that's why I use that. So you get little hits with, if you see something, it's like, I've seen that before, right? Or I've been here before. So it's just like your soul is guiding you with that card. And then I did this card because sometimes we just need to release.
Right.
We may be going through a tough time. We might be having a fight with a spouse or brother or kids, and you can't control it. And it's like, you just need to have a good cry. Let it go.
Right.
Release. And then I use this kind of like the Six of Cups.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're struggling or you want to change your tune, just go back to the good times. If you had good childhood memories. But sometimes not everyone does. But you just visualize a simpler time or a happy time, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So there's visualization in that. So then I added a few different extraterrestrials that I have connected with or feel with, like your standard ones, your Andromedan, Arcturian, Palladian, you have your reptilians, you have your grays, the standards.
Right.
So when I think of Palladian, I always feel like it's loving energy, loving and healing energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's said that they are more human-like. So I picked that picture and I put a little heart on it, or a little star.
Mm-hmm.
So this card would come up. Just imagine the Palladian energy healing you and holding you and giving you a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this picture on. So I used Adobe Creator.
Mm-hmm.
I either found pictures or used pictures and put it in there. But you can type in search photo within all the photos that Adobe has.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that picture, and it made sense because you're looking at a UFO, and a lot of people don't believe in things, but I picked this one because sometimes things are hard to understand in your life. You don't get it, you don't want to get it, but in your heart you know it's wrong. Like you could be having troubles at work, you're stressing, you can't get along, and it's like it's right in front of you. You need to leave this energy and find something else. That kind of reasoning.
Yeah.
And also, if you see a UFO or think it is, it probably is. So like that's why I made that one. So then, with all the creations and innovations in our world that have been advanced in a short amount of time, if you think about the history of the universe and our planet, so from what the 60s to now, how fast the technology is sped up.
Oh yeah.
Right. So in our own lives, we have these cell phones, we have the computers, we have great cars. So I'm like, don't get wrapped up in all this technology. And I was thinking back to some people that are just obsessed with like TikTok and Instagram and whatever, or maybe even YouTube, right? Don't forget yourself, right? Don't get wrapped up in other people's lives, like being a people watcher. It's kind of irritates me a little bit when like everyone just looks at their phone all day, watching videos constantly, watching other people, right?
Yeah. I remember one time I was at the wine bar and there was this bench couch, and there's two couples sitting on the couch and they were all in their phones. And here they are in a social place where they can have a drink of wine and, kind of sit and talk. And none of them were talking to each other. They were all in their phones. And I thought, that's just so sad.
Yeah. It's a different time. It's even like with sports or stuff. All these leagues, volleyball leagues, softball leagues, anything, swim leagues, whatever it may be, the YMCA, no one's interested anymore. It's a cell phone generation. So the young kids have different things going on. Here's another card. I made about kind of finding your Zen. So pay attention to your heart and soul. Your physical and emotional feelings are divine guidance. So basically, if you're feeling off, your body's talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you should know when you need to cool it down, take some time for yourself. Your body's talking to you, and if your heart aches or whatever it is, this card is telling you, take time for yourself, see what's going on with your life. This is kind of like the Chariot.
Yep.
Take charge. Sometimes you just need to take charge of your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you're afraid about asking for promotion or whatever, sometimes you just feel it and you need to take charge.
Right.
So that's like the Chariot card. I think this one's really cute. Always remember to love yourself.
Yeah, I've pulled that one when I've used that deck. It's very nice.
We're our souls are entities that are, full of love and grace, and no matter what our shell looks like,
Mm-hmm.
we gotta stay in that focus that we always should love ourselves. And it's always a beautiful thing to remember. I really love this one. I seen this picture. I'm like, I got to put that on there.
Yes.
Forgiveness is a huge thing.
Yes. Forgiveness is the gift you give yourself. It's not what you do for somebody else. It's letting go of it and being done with it.
Yeah. I love that one. Reflections of your soul is the art of forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
You heal yourself by forgiving what you've done to others, yourself, whatever it is. Here's another one. You don't want to have play a victim. And here's a extraterrestrial looking guy with a violin. You control your destiny. No one should have control over you.
Mm-hmm.
You should have unions and partners, and find your soul family. Don't play a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I chose 45 cards in this deck, a division of 3. So, and I'll just show one more here.
Okay.
You're not learning your life lessons. So I got this gray hair pointing a finger at you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you let's say we're going on in our lives and you're repeating the same patterns and you're not learning a lesson, whether it be family or whatever it is, So this card's telling you you're not learning. You're repeating the same patterns. You want to change your direction. So that would come up. So like with any oracle card, you can do it however you feel comfortable. Shuffle it. You can just say, I want a card of the day. You can shuffle a little bit. Just sense where you want to split it. Look over. Oh, I'm not playing a victim today.
Okay.
However it is. So oracle cards are all that kind of sense. Do a 3-card pull for a week or whatever you want to do. And a lot of my friends here that have gotten it, that are readers that have gotten these, they've actually done well with full readings with just this deck.
It's a really good deck, and I'm not an oracle card person because I figure, damn it, I'm like those people about student loans. Damn it, if I learned how to read all those tarot cards, you should too. But I understand some oracle decks I really do relate to, and with my garden, you can pick a stone for each day a day and roll it in and see where it lands. Put the stone, the tile it lands in, and how it fits with your day. And I know people do that. I think what those things do is they make you focus on where you are. By just that action, you begin to focus on where you are. And when you're talking about loving yourself and understanding that, I just finished reading a really interesting book, and it's an old book. It was written in 2011, but it's called "Love Yourself Like Your Life Depended on It," and it was about a guy who built a great big company in Silicon Valley, and then all of a sudden, his whole life just fell apart, like in short order. Just everything fell apart, And he went into this really deep depression, and he realized the only way out of it was for him to figure out what he'd been as he'd become a people pleaser and doing what everybody else wanted him to do and not really being who he was. So he managed to kind of scrape his life back together. And it was like 2 or 3 years after he'd been kind of not making the money and not doing the other stuff. And he found out that he got invited to speak as a future thinker at some conference. And it was full of big business people and congressional people and government people. And he got up and he had a whole speech ready to do the normal BS he would have done before. And when he got up in front of him, before he even knew what he was doing, he said, "Let me tell you where I've been for the last 3 years." And he told his whole story about how he had to learn to love himself like his life depended on it, because it did. And when he got off the stage, he just ran off the stage. He said, "What the hell have I just done to my life?" And when he got backstage where they had a place where you could meet with the speakers, he had the longest line. All these other people that have been lost and never heard anyone talk about loving themselves and looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, "I love you. I'll take care of you. You don't have to rely on all those other people or all those other things." His book's fascinating. You can find it on YouTube on an audiobook, which is how I happen to listen to it. But it was really, really an incredible message. And I think that's one of the things we're having to learn now. We have to learn to love ourselves, because so much of what we've been told up to this time is absolute BS, and it is not supporting us.
Oh,
And
Patricia's.
yes, and that's what a lot of people run away, and they get into conspiracy theories, or they live in their phones, or they live in computer games, or whatever else they're doing to not, and or they become. When I was a younger person, I used to get the devil a lot for people, and they were in relationships. And it wasn't, that could be drug, sex, rock and roll. But during the 70s and 80s, it wasn't. It was workaholism. It's people getting so focused on doing nothing but work that they ignored everything else. It was just a way to escape having an interpersonal relationship. So we've gotten really far off the topic of crystals. But I think crystals
Well,
help
that's
people.
great. This evolves how it needs to evolve.
Mm-hmm. So I'll show you one thing I have that's just incredible. This is made out of obsidian. It's a pyramid, and it's, at times I put that in the center of my personal grid. Other times I use crystal clear stones, or I use my bumblebee jasper heart.
Pretty.
So you have a choice. And when I make those changes, I do them consciously, and I think, well, why do I need to change this today? And even if I don't have an answer in my head right then, I will by the end of the day. So
yeah, if you need an answer, you can always ask for signs.
that's true.
And it worked for you.
Yes, it does. It does.
When we get frustrated or something happens, just take a step back and say, okay, I accept this,
Mm-hmm.
and then just show me a sign that I'm on the right path or whatever, and you'll eventually get it if you're enlightened to look for it. I usually just, since I'm on the road driving for work, I usually just ask for any coin.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm asking a question and I'm unsure, with self ratings, I always ask, just put a coin sometime during the day on my step where I get in where I drive.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not when there, I go make my delivery, come back out, there's a dime or something in front of my step where I get in the truck. And it wasn't there before. So
I know those things.
I get my answer.
Scott, I need to go. Remember, I told you I wasn't feeling all this well today. Well, it's coming back.
I think I'm feeling your energy a little bit too.
Yeah. So
here, I think but yeah. But this is the only reason really for the show. We could have done some reads, but just to share our wares and have a little chat with all the peeps
Mm-hmm.
that showed up today. And it's been a blessing hanging with you
Yep.
tonight, Nancy Jean, as always.
And
And blessings, everyone.
I'll see you Sunday morning,
Yeah,
and
sounds
see,
good.
guys, show up at 1 o'clock Central Time on my channel and see if I'm better.
Yeah. You got a show tomorrow?
Yeah.
At 1?
Dozen Cats and I are gonna do
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
it's kind of open. It's open court. Whatever question people want to ask, they can ask, and we read the garden, we read
Yeah.
cards, we read a little bit of everything.
I see him. So thank you much for showing up. It's wonderful to see you guys and be back on.
Thanks, everybody. I'll get better, Miriam. I'm sending you an invitation about Saturday. Bye.